The Tre'Quan Smith era is officially over for the New Orleans Saints, and there's a new quarterback, which makes us think Derek Carr is almost certainly missing week 4. Let's talk about that right here on the Straight Up Saints podcast.
You're listening to the Straight Up Saints podcast.
What is up, Who Dat Nation? Welcome back inside another edition of the Straight Up Saints podcast. I'm your host, Chris Vogel, and as always, this program is brought to you by Scott Fickner Injury Lawyers. You've been injured in any kind of accident, car, truck, 18-wheeler, or hurt offshore. Scott Fickner handles it all. You give him a call at 504-500-1111 for a free consultation. They'll always fight for the win. So like I said at the top, the Tre'Quan Smith era, if we're even going to call it an era, it's over. He got released from injured reserve this Tuesday, first reported by Field Yates and then confirmed by a plethora of reporters after that. And it's a very anticlimactic ending to what I would say is one of the more oddly polarizing players that I remember for the Saints, because Tre'Quan Smith would never do anything controversial, would never say anything controversial. Hell, you would rarely ever hear him speak. But there was always frustration about his injury situation and just, he'd have a good game, especially on the Monday night spotlights, right? I think back to when they played Washington and Breeze broke one of the records. I'll think on the Colts game where Breeze, I think, was like 29 of 30. It was like the NFL equivalent of a perfect game. He ended up having a touchdown there. But so many moments where he wasn't available. And I think that's where a lot of frustration stemmed from. And I know this year more than ever, when he did make the roster and then got placed on IR, people were very frustrated about that. Well, now he's gone. He's no longer with the Saints. He finishes his Saints tenure with 131 catches for 1,764 receiving yards and 18 touchdowns and about 55 injuries. But other than that, look, I genuinely do wish Tre'Quan Smith the best. It's unfortunate that he was plagued by injuries, because I do think this is a receiver with good playmaking ability in terms of making contested catches, really good run blocker, and he always knew his role. That was never the problem with Tre'Quan Smith. He would know what the Saints would expect out of him. It's just hard to really depend on a guy that isn't going to be there every Sunday. And honestly, there's probably more Sundays than not at this point in his career where you're like, all right, well, we don't have Tre'Quan, as opposed to, okay, we do have him today. And if I had to guess, he'll probably end up in Denver. I could see Sean Payton being all over this signing, bringing in a guy like him. We've already seen him go out and get Adam Troutman. We've seen him get little Jordan Humphrey. We've seen him get Marquez Callaway. So Tre'Quan fits the bill, and that's not going to stop them from getting 70 hung on them, but it is a guy that knows Sean Payton's system. I'd imagine that's where he goes. And if that's the case, I'll wish him well. But this officially means that the Saints have no more members from the 2018 draft class on the roster. The same draft class that featured Marcus Davenport. It also had Boston Scott, who honestly ended up being a solid pick from that group in terms of actually being an NFL player. But again, the Saints were loaded in the backfield at the time. So Tre'Quan Smith is gone. That's the main news of this Tuesday. That's not the only news on this Tuesday, though. The Saints made a move today that, in my opinion, and probably the opinion of others as well, hints at them saying, I don't care if Derek Carr is healthy enough to play or wants to play Sunday. He's probably not playing Sunday against the Buccaneers. They go out and they sign Jake Luton from the Panthers practice squad. This is a quarterback that's been on the Saints before, so he knows the system. There's no worrying about him coming in and learning Pete Carmichael's system, although, at this point, people don't want anyone to learn his system just by reading off what I get sent on Twitter in terms of fans just being frustrated. And he's going to come in, and I'd imagine he's either going to be your backup for week 4 or he's going to be the emergency quarterback. Now, if he's the backup, that means you can use Taysom Hill in a variety of ways. If he's the emergency quarterback, then I don't know if they're going to use Taysom Hill a lot. And obviously that would take away a dynamic element of the Saints offense, and that would be frustrating. But look, you're bringing in a guy that, like I said, he knows the system. This isn't supposed to be a long-term situation. My gut feeling is at the latest, Derek Carr will be back by the Houston game. This isn't something that I know or something that I'm hearing. I'm just going off the fact that all the wording was could miss time, and the Saints will probably be cautious with him, which makes me think that, God forbid he had to play Sunday, I think he would be there. But the Saints are 2-1, and the other two teams in the NFC South are, and then you have the 0-3 Panthers. So for them, it doesn't hurt to give him a week of rest and see if you can win with Jameis. If you can, maybe that gives you one more week to rest Derek Carr, and so on and so forth. So, I think that's a move that kind of hints at the situation. It's unfortunate, but again, if the Saints can play good defense and hope to play complementary football, which is something they have struggled to do so far, they could beat the Bucs, but that'll be a discussion for a later show this week. Right now, the focus is Tre'Quan being gone Jake Luton being in, which means Derek Carr is most likely out for week 4. But that's going to wrap it up. As always, guys, let me know what you have to say about these things. Are you surprised Tre'Quan Smith got released? As for the quarterback situation, what are your thoughts about it? Let me know below. Subscribe to Boo Crew Media's YouTube page for more content like this, and be on the lookout for more content from the Straight Up Saints podcast, the destination for